the games that are often forgotten about are sports, and I grew up kind of sports nutty, if you could say that, if there is such a word. My dad went from being a teacher to becoming a sports journalist, and I was sort of tag along, the person that comes with. I would have been probably, I would say 12, 13 at the time. And I was rather tall for my age. I'm probably the same height now than when I was 12. So, for a 12-year-old, I was really tall. And for, something in the 40s, it's not. But, at the time, it was mega big. And he was covering basketball as one of the sports. So this is how I rolled into basketball, because all these men said, oh, what age is she? Gosh, she's really tall for that age. She should take up basketball. And then I tried out, played a bit, and yes, I got absolutely sucked into the whole world of basketball. And, at one stage I was convinced I was going to be a professional basketball player. Yeah, really. My friends in school, who were a completely different group of friends, told me eventually to shut up about basketball because I talked about it too much, and they couldn't relate to it. So, which was kind of, as a kid, you don't like hearing that. But I went to sports camps. I played up as far as the national divisions, got selected for county teams. So I was okay, and I practiced hard. I had a party trick that I just practiced every week for months on end, or every day for months on end, to make sure I had that one down pat and perfect. And also used to go to the local basketball grounds to shoot hoops, like you see a lot of American films doing. And that's the one thing I've never found over here in the UK, is little places where you could just go and shoot hoops. You have to go to an indoor centre of some kind. The other sports I engaged with were triathlon in school. There was a challenge posed, and some teacher said, why don't we get everyone to do a triathlon? I was like, sounds like something I'd like to try. So we started training, and once I get my eyes on something, I get really into it. So I read every book on it. I researched what you should be doing. So I went swimming, cycling, and running a lot. And out of that evolved that, yes, I was improving. So I did two triathlons in my lifetime. And, wasn't the best at them. And the transition was definitely a real challenge. But I can proudly say I was one of the very few that actually completed it. In my year in school, there was only 3 of us, in most cases, that did it. So me and 2 boys. Ha! So I was the only girl doing it. So one of those things, I love a challenge, which is sort of what led me into marathon running later in life, I think. So I love the fact that it sort of it takes dedication. You don't just do a quick win. It takes preparation, it takes planning, it gets you there. But it also focuses your exercise for long ends of time. So that's what I like. And for me, running is sort of therapeutic in the sense of you can go for a jog and figure out the ways of the world and whatever else is going on, or just forget about the whole lot and just enjoy the scenery. So for me, that's what running has sort of meant and still means to me, because I still run, only not as regular. I still have another marathon in me. I know for sure I do. So some days, sometime soon, maybe in the next couple of years, that will happen. It will take a bit more training. I'm sort of just restarting back. My other sport, and the one I sort of miss a lot now that I'm no longer living in Ireland, was sailing. I used to sail competitively with a crew on boats. I had the lovely job of being the person in the middle, packing spinnakers and unpacking them and taking things down, feeding people with leads on the front of the boat so the sails would go up and you could change the sails different directions, etc. I love that. I love doing that in Ireland because you saw Ireland from a completely different perspective. It is mega beautiful, and I would urge anyone to see every coastline possible because they're just beautiful. But it also sort of teaches you that, you against the elements win, right? Just don't even negotiate that one. If the wind is strong, you go with the wind. If the tide is strong, you go with the tide. because you learn to appreciate your limits in sailing, I think. But also the tools of what you have to play with, and learning to gauge what's the best for the boat. I wouldn't have classed myself as a superb sailor. I was, a good average, middle of the road kind of one. And I was probably good, as somebody said to us when we first started, good deck jewellery. You just look pretty on one side, and when we tell you to move, you go look pretty on the other side. So even that part of sailing I quite enjoyed, as well as the social aspect, because you're with a team working towards one goal. So that's what I love about sailing. Other than that, the Olympics are one of my passions. Don't get me started, I'll be here forever. But I've never managed to be in one, as in, take part, because that was one of my ambitions. At one point I wanted to help organise the Winter Olympics in Italy. I tried my best to get onto all sorts of committees, but didn't quite get there. I did help out with organising athletic events in Ireland, which were amazing and great to get to know the people, because one of my passions is sports performance and sports psychology, which is also what I'll bring into everything I do with gamification, because I think there's a lot we can learn from sports that work for real in real life as well. So I'm hoping to draw in that spirit of the Olympics into the work that we do by building community, inspiring the next generation, as they so want to do with the London Olympics. So hope you enjoy Olympics. I hope you enjoy sports, because you'll be hearing about it.